Right, good morning everyone and welcome back to the channel. This video I'm going to be reviewing a tent, and the tent is the Sierra Designs Meteor 2, which is a 2 to 3 season backpacking tent. I've used this tent on a number of occasions now, including in Storm Francis, on the West Pennine Moors, and also on Pendle Hill a couple of weeks ago with a couple of my mates. So I feel like I've used the tent enough. I can tell you about it, tell you about some of its strengths and possible weaknesses, and whether I recommend it. This tent primarily designed it. It's a mid-range tent. It's retailing for around £230, and I was sent the tent by my friends over at Valley and Peak. I'll be leaving links to their website where you can purchase the tent below. But I like it. It's a good bit of gear, and it's stood up to some pretty testing conditions. So let's get straight into the review. Now, I did try and go film this somewhere outdoors this morning, but as my luck is, the place where I went to started getting the grass cut. So I'm back in the back garden, so if there's any noise, it's down to my neighbours who are probably out enjoying the sunny weather in the back garden. First of all, pack size. This is a 35 litre rucksack, and the tent packs down pretty small. It weighs just over 2 kilos, and as you can see, it fits in this pack with ease. And there we go. Let's get rid of this rucksack. And here's what the tent comes in, this nice stuff sack. As you can see, it's got the brands, Sierra Designs, and this particular model, which is a Meteor 2 3000. It's been slightly updated, this one, and the Flysheet goes a bit lower toward the ground. Nice good quality stuff sack. You've got these compression straps here, so you can get it packed down really small in your bag. So we'll have a look at what you get in the pack. It's called a burrito stuff sack, or burrito pack, burrito bag, and it's just designed like this so it's easy to get the tent in. If you're packing it down in a bit of a hurry, sometimes it's difficult to get the tent back into the stuff sack, especially if it's wet. But this nice easy design means, you know, at the end of a camp, just chuck it back in there and stuff it in, and it's nice and easy to do that. So I like that feature. So you get your bag containing your poles, which also doubles up as your peg bag. You get the inner and the fly sheet. So if we look at the poles, they're all made by DAC, which they're a good manufacturer, and they make quality poles. So first of all, you get the large bundle, and the poles are centered around this hub system with a central hub which all the other poles radiate out from. Good quality poles. And then there's just one more, which I'll show you how this works shortly. This just goes across the top of the tent and provides a little more tension, as you'll see. So they're the poles, decent, good quality, DAC. The other end of the stuff sack doubles up as your peg storage bag, which is a nice little feature. Now I've got a few additional pegs in here just for the extra guy out points, but all the pegs are these V-stakes. Nice, lightweight, very strong. You know, it's personal preference what people like to use for the pegs. People like to swap them out for different versions or ground anchors, but these are being absolutely fine, including some bad conditions in Storm Francis. I don't know if they're made by DAC, but they certainly look very good quality, and they've got the Sierra Designs logo on the side. So there are pegs, there are poles. We're going to get the inner staked out, and then I'll show you how easy it is to pitch. Now, one thing to note about this particular model is that it's inner pitch first. Now, that's not always everyone's cup of tea, and there are some things to consider with an inner pitch first tent. In bad weather, you're going to want to pitch it as quickly as you can, especially if it's raining, because you're not going to want the inside to get wet. So first things first, just lay out the inner and then peg out the 4 corners. You'll note one corner has got some red paracord and red webbing. Make a note of that one because I'll explain why in a minute. You get one corner with the red webbing, and that's going to correspond to the red webbing corner on the fly sheet. Just make a note of that, there's only one with the red. Another thing to note is this tent is freestanding. That means when you've got the poles in place and you've got it clipped to the poles, you could actually pick up the tent. It doesn't rely upon being guyed out to hold its shape and maintain the structure. Really handy in case you want to move the tent, and quite versatile in certain situations as well. So all we've got to do with these poles, like I say, they all radiate out from this central hub, and you can't get them wrong. It's just a case of connecting them all together. So let's get that done. So you can see how easy that was to do. You have these little grommets and the end of the pole just slides in. You've got a wider section towards the back, and then it narrows and holds those poles in place. Good quality, as you can see there. It's good quality reinforced stitching throughout. The gold base section there corresponds to the gold grommets, which are on just this end of the tent. And then moving toward the back, you've got the red corner which I mentioned. You're going to need to correspond that with the fly sheet. Just makes it all line up, make sure you're doing it all correctly. And all you've got to do is these plastic clips, you just hook on to the poles and you build it up evenly and equally around the tent. I'm trying to do it one-handed, but there you go, you get the idea. Work your way around the tent. Nice and simple, nothing complicated about that. You can get that up really quickly, especially when you've had a little bit of practice, but there is nothing complicated about that. You've then got this final pole which goes over the top of the hub and just adds a little bit more tension to the roof of this inner, which as you can see, it's about 70-30 solid with mesh at the top, and that gives a nice balance between breathability and aeration, good airflow in the tent, but also saves a little bit of warmth as well. If it's a fully mesh inner, you know, it's going to be confined to sort of the warmer months of the year, but yeah, gives you a nice balance between airflow and warmth, so that's all good. We get this final pole on, attach the final clips, and then all we've got to do is put the fly sheet over. So that's the inner, pitched correctly, all done, all clips on. It's pretty solid and it's all good quality. This final pole just goes over the top. It doesn't really make any difference what side that goes over the hub. It's got these plastic retaining clips. It's got like a ball and socket joint there on the ends of this, and the same on the other side, and just the 2 more clips, and there you can see the inner. Now in warm weather that'll make a pretty nice shelter. You can see how steep these sides are, almost vertical, and in practice that means you get a lot of usable room in this tent. I'm 6 foot tall and I can sit up in it with room to spare. That can make all the difference on a wild camping trip, especially if there's 2 of you, because it's nice to have that bit of luxury and that bit of extra room. So all we have to do now is attach the fly sheet, and we're going to get that done. As you can see, there's 2 doors, one on this side and exactly the same on the other side of the tent. So let's get the fly sheet over the inner. So for the purposes of this review, I'm not doing the extra guy out points and the extra guy lines, but you've got guy out points on both ends. You've also got here extra guy out points just for the fly moving around. Same, extra guy out point, guy out point, guy out point. Two vestibules, one on the other side. And it's a nice design, isn't it? It's pretty much limpet like. You've got this vent here, just the one vent with a Velcro tab. And there we go. Gives some good airflow into the tent. One thing to be aware of, if there's driving wind and rain, you might want to pitch your tent so that this vent is on the leeward side of any such rain and wind. So you've got the wind going in this direction, as that could be a potential if the wind is very, very strong to blow some water in. So just bear that in mind. That's the same with any tent that's got these high roof designs. Just a bit of thought when pitching in certain weather conditions. But that's it. It's a nice taut pitch. It looks good. I've used this in Storm Francis. I'll put a link to that video below. And it coped with that wind absolutely fine. Pretty testing conditions. As you can see, like I've mentioned, the walls on this side of the tent are near enough vertical, and what that means in practice is that you get a lot of headroom. So on that note, let's have a little look inside the tent. So there's a vestibule on this side and then exactly the same on the other. It's nice and roomy. You can store your rucksack in one side, your boots, or your wet or muddy gear, and then keep the other side nice and clutter free for cooking in, nice and organised. So in practice, this dual vestibule, it comes in really handy. If there's two of you using the tent, it means that you're not climbing over each other to gain access to or exit your tent. You know, if you're full of mud, you're soaking wet, it's these little things which are really important. The room in here, which you'll see shortly, for one person, it's absolutely immense. For two people, again, still, you'd be really comfortable wild camping with the two of you in this tent. There is so much room inside. You know, I've got a Hilleberg Solo amongst many other tents, and although that's a great tent, it hasn't got the most room in. And you know, if you hold up in winter, the weather comes in, little differences like having a lot more room, it makes it a little bit more comfortable. You can sit up in it, you can get changed in it a lot more easily, so it comes in really handy. On the dual entrance and exits, like I say, if there's one of you using the tent, one side you can have your bag, boots, all your muddy and wet gear, and you can keep one side free just for your cooking and things like that, so you can stay nice and organised, which is always good on a wild camp. So you've got lots of handy loops for gear storage, hooking your lantern on, hooking bits and bobs on, or running lines just to dry out some of your gear. You've got a few more there, and the same toward the front of the tent. You've got some nice storage pockets on that side, on both sides, nice and generous. That's a little area just to stash the door back if you don't want to tie it up like I've currently got it. These inner doors, they can roll away, or you can stash it just into the corner there. Likewise, same on the other corner of the tent. But lots of room. Obviously got both porch doors open. But you can appreciate, it's me, 6 foot, 182 centimetres. That's the amount of space I've got in here. It's absolutely immense. Very, very spacious. Good quality stitching, good quality zips, good quality materials used throughout the tent. Just out of interest, the Flysheet material has a 3000mm hydrostatic head, as does the floor, which has got tape seams. That's always nice. Just a bit of reassurance You're going to be waterproof in the elements. Height wise, the tent is 104 centimetres at its highest point there, and 213 centimetres long. So all I'm going to do now is just close the doors. You're going to see what it looks like when you're all, you've battened down the hatches, get some perspective from inside with it all being closed up. But it's a nice airy tent. This is me sat up, like I say. I've still got a bit of headroom there, and I'm not in the tallest part of the tent. I do appreciate that, and it's nice, especially when the nights draw in a little bit earlier and you're spending a lot more time cooped up inside your tent. It just makes it that much more pleasant and enjoyable. So let's get these zips down. As you can see, I've got my shoes in here. It is a roomy vestibule. I'll show you that now. Same on the other side. So I think this tent is good value for money. I've got all the links below in the description box, so go over to Valley and Peak and go and check it out. But I've used it in some tough conditions in Storm Francis on the West Pennine Moors. I've also had it in some cold and windy weather on the summit of Pendle Hill only a couple of weeks ago. I've left cards to those videos above so you can actually see the tent being used. I think it's good, I like it. I was kindly sent it by my friends over at Valley and Peak just to review it, and I'm happy that I could recommend it. I would say this tent is for you if you are after a lightweight backpacking tent. It's not an ultralight tent, but it's not designed to be, but I class 2 kilos, given that some of my rucksacks weigh upwards of 15 kilos on certain wild camps. I would call this a lightweight tent, and the small pack size, the stuff sack, the burrito pack, the burrito bag, where it's nice and easy to chuck it all in. When it's soaking wet, you can't get it as it come from the manufacturer ever. It's completely impossible. But that bag makes it nice and easy to just pack away. The pitching, as I've demonstrated, it's really easy. The poles are attached around a central hub, so you've got nothing to lose, or you can't go wrong. There's only one way it goes together. The poles are colour coded, so you know exactly which way to put it. The inner and the fly sheet are colour coded, so you always get it to correspond and go exactly right. The 2 vestibules are really handy. I love the headroom, and I love the floor space. In short, it's a very, very roomy tent, and the walls behind me are near vertical. Loads of hanging space on it. The mesh is nice and airy, and it's a really practical, user-friendly tent. Now there is one important feature which I'm going to save to last, and I'm going to demonstrate that before I say goodbye on this one, and it is the stargazing feature of the tent. And all that means is you've got the ability with this, and I'm not seeing it on any other tent models. It's really nice. You can roll the fly sheet up in good weather, obviously, to expose the mesh to the elements. So in short, it's like a bit of a sunroof on your tent. I'm going to demonstrate that now, where you can lie back from the comfort of your tent, protected by the bug mesh from the insects and all the midges, and you can just look out at the stars with a beer or a glass of wine or whatever, and just enjoy nature. It's a really nice feature, and it's just as simple as undoing some of the guy out points on one side of the tent, rolling it back. There's another clip just on the roof line there, and it just stows away and you can look out. I'm going to demonstrate that now, and I'll round it up and say goodbye. So this stargazing feature, let's see what that's all about. Just take out the guy out points at one end, this end of the fly sheet, and it rolls up and away. Just undo this one, loosen it off, take the peg out. Same on the other side. Velcro tabs, reach up, undo it. And here we go, roll that away. And that's what you end up with. Obviously you're not going to do that when it's raining, But in sunny weather like today, that is the stargazing feature. You got this little toggle and the fly just rolls back and clips onto that. So here's what that means in practice. Imagine you're in the middle of the mountains with your mate, your partner, whatever. Nice glass of wine, nice beer, nice coffee. You can just lie back and enjoy those stunning views, protected from the midges with the bug screen. Look out, take it all in from the comfort and the safety of this inner. That's an absolutely brilliant feature, and I really, really like that. If the weather's coming in, well, you're going to know because you can keep an eye on the sky. What you've got to do is release the toggle, drop it back down and peg it back in. Right folks, we're going to wrap this one up. I hope you found that interesting and useful if you're considering purchasing the Meteor 2 by Sierra Designs. Just to be upfront and completely honest, it's important to tell you that I have not been paid anything by Valiant Peak. I don't work for them, they just gave me the opportunity to test out this tent, which of course, being a lover of tents and being pretty obsessed with them, I wasn't going to decline that opportunity. So yeah, I jumped at the chance. So thanks again Valiant Peak for considering me and letting me test that out for you. So yeah, it's a completely honest and unbiased review. I'm not obliged to say anything positive about it, and likewise if I've got any negative points, there's no issues with me disclosing them to you. I haven't. It packs down small, the near vertical sides come in really handy, and it just feels great inside. You're not cramped, it's not claustrophobic, there's a lot of room. I can sit up in it and I've got room to spare. You know, can lie down fully in it, likewise room to spare. 2 vestibules come in really handy. Good quality materials used throughout, and it's really easy to pitch and it's freestanding. The stargazing feature, it really is a lovely feature. You can imagine just lying back with a glass of red for me or a beer, just looking out at the night sky. On some of the warmer times during the year, and equally some of the milder nights coming into autumn and winter, when the skies are a lot clearer, it would be lovely just to lie back in your tent and look out at the sky protected by that bug mesh. So I really like that, and it's not a fad, it's not a gimmick, it does actually work. And you know, if the weather comes in, a couple of seconds, all you need to do is untoggle that fly from the toggle at the top, bring it back down, and then you're back protected from the elements. So link to the tent below. If you're going to purchase it, well, go and support our local businesses. Valiant Peak are a great outdoor retailer based in the lovely Peak District, so go and check them out. They sell loads of good products, and I hope to carry on working with them at some point in the future if they've got anything else that they'd like me to review or look at. So thanks for your time. If you've got any comments or suggestions, or you've used the tent and you found anything good or not so good about it, please let me know, because it's always interesting and useful to hear other people's feedback. I'm going to get it packed away, cleaned up and sent back over to Mark. And I look forward to whatever the next chapter in wild camping brings. Got a few good things planned throughout the rest of this month, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and go and enjoy the great outdoors yourself.